So Android 12L is finally out on the Surface Duo 1 and on the Surface Duo 2. And in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to go over a list that I have kind of come up with here, talking about what features are new. I'm probably going to miss one or two here or there because there's a lot of stuff to cover. Not just new to Duo, but new to, Duo having Android 12, these 12 features. But we're also going to talk about what features are missing, things that I was hoping to see that aren't there. It is a little bit of a mixed bag. I do think 12L overall is a really good change, and there's a lot of great stuff here. I'm going to cover that, but like I said, there are some things that I wish were present that simply aren't, and that's a little bit of a bummer. This is not going to be like a full review of 12L just yet. I don't think I've had enough time to give my full impressions of if I think it's what bugs it might have or what have you. But this is more just sort of what is in 12L and what is maybe missing from 12L that I wish was here. So let's go through these things now. So the first thing you're going to notice is that a lot of design elements have been redesigned. They look quite different. So the quick settings toggle, if you pull down once from the top, now does in fact look like this. And this is a very large departure from where we were before. And this is the Android 12 look, but they've tweaked it a little bit to fit better with the wider display. If you look at this is running Android 13, but it's very, very similar to this. On other normal devices, you get something that looks like that, where it's like 2x2. Well, they've just sort of spaced it out to fit the screen better, and that makes good sense to me. If you pull it down again, you get something that looks like this. You get your volume, your brightness, which was there before. You get your quick toggles, and you get these icons down here to edit, power, and then settings. You can also see that this is themed. The color is being pulled from my wallpaper and applied to this stuff, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. You can go in and edit these quick setting things, and you actually probably just saw an animation that was very likely new and different. And you can, like I said, you can edit these quick toggles, and there are some new quick toggles in here, which we will also come back to in a moment. Right now, we're just going to focus on these design elements. Let's actually go into the settings since I'm already kind of nearby this. And you will see that the settings app now looks very, very similar to Windows 11's setting app. In fact, let's do this. There's the settings app on Windows 11. How does that look compared to that? It looks really, really similar. So if you like the look of Windows 11, you're likely to like the look of Surface Duo running Android 12L. You may have noticed there when I was closing that app out that there is a new animation. Let's open up the Google Play Store, and you'll see that when you open it, it zooms out of the icon, which is not new, but when you go home, it zooms back into the icon. I think that's a really nice touch. One problem I have with this is that if I launch an app from my bar down at the bottom, like YouTube, and then I go home, it just zooms out to the middle of the screen. It does not zoom in to the YouTube icon down there. And maybe it's because everything slides over, right? That YouTube icon is now over here. So where would it slide to? Would it wait for that stuff to slide over and then zoom into the icon? I don't know, but that is definitely something worth pointing out. Overall, there are new animations all over the place. When you're unlocking the device, when you're closing applications, just tons of new animations that are coming from Android 12, not necessarily Microsoft tweaks, but things from Google. And a lot of them do look nice. They're very, very different though. So they may take a little bit of getting used to before you're going to be totally okay with them. Sticking to the launcher, if we slide over here, the widgets panel does look a little bit different. The shape maybe has changed on these things a little bit. It's definitely a different looking widget now, but just overall the blur effect and everything looks really nice, and it just looks like Windows now. Speaking of widgets, there are some new ones. If you long press on your home screen and go to add widgets, you will see that there are several. Now these appear to be bugged for me. Like let's chat tonight, let's chat tonight, let's chat tonight. That's not what those are. So something's bugged out there when you actually drag them onto your desktop. That's not what they are. So something's a little bit weird there. But if we ignore that for the moment and we go down to clock, you'll see we have the new clock widgets that were not there before. This is something new with Android 12. I may be wrong, but I think that's a new looking Gmail widget. I think Google Keeps widget is also, those are also different widgets. There's just several new widgets added on as well. Another one is just some simple changes when it comes to playing music. So first off, I really like this YouTube Music widget. I don't know if that's new or not. Maybe it is. But if I go into my quick settings here, the way it looks here where your music is playing now, it does look very different. You can kind of roll this into the whole quick settings thing, but I thought it was worth pointing out specifically just because I think it looks really nice. You can also click on phone speaker there and actually change where you're playing that audio from. Another cool thing is your lock screen. I think it looks really nice. You have a new look to the clock. You have a new widget there for music being played. And if I swipe up, you get a new keypad as well to actually log in. There are some new touches to haptics. If you go into your recent applications, you can see a couple of things that have changed. Well, you can't see haptics, but what you can see is that the background is now nicely blurred. Looks really, really good. But as you scroll through these apps, you'll feel a nice little tick as each app goes by. It's the small things that really do add up on updates like this that really do make a big difference. Let's talk about dynamic theming. So if we long press again, this time we go to change wallpaper, we have a new interface here. So let's go to choose a color palette. And like I said, what's going to happen is if you have a wallpaper set, it's going to grab colors from that wallpaper and then allow you to sort of set them. So you can see mine right now is this sort of blue color. I can click here and change it to this kind of red thing. There's a purple option, which it takes a second to load in. And then there's this kind of horrible pea green color. I'm going to stick with the blues that I had before. And if you don't like any of the colors they've set, they do give you a handful of colors you can select yourself. I wish they gave you more options. That is something that got added at Android 13. You have far more options now to choose from, but this is what we have at the moment. And honestly, I think it's pretty solid. The only thing I can say about this that I wish was different now, that I feel like they could have done better, is they need to give us more neutral colors, right? Give us white, give us, just red, just blue, give us more neutral colors. Because while I actually do like the sort of pastel look going on here, not everyone's going to. Not everyone's going to like these sort of light pastel colors. Some people are going to look at these and think, do these look like something that a work person is doing, a professional is going to be using? And maybe not. You can also see more of those design changes in even this settings page. And most settings pages you go into, they're going to have a different look. If I go to my widgets panel over here and I go to edit this view, it's going to have that same really consistent look. It no longer looks like stock Android. It looks like something that Microsoft made. It looks like Windows. This is a weird one for me because apparently this is not functional on Surface Duo 1, but it is on Duo 2, so I guess we'll talk about it. Let's open up a couple of applications. Boom and boom. Now let's click on power button and volume down to take a screenshot. You're going to see down here, I failed to do that correctly. Let me let that go away. Try that again. You're going to see down here at the bottom the ability capture more. Let's click on it. Now it's going to default to the right screen here. But you can capture more. You can do a scrolling screenshot. I believe if you're in phone mode, it's going to work exactly the same. It's going to go to the right screen in book mode. Phone mode, it'll work exactly like this. You can scroll down and get more of that screenshot. Like I said, not working on Duo 1 for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but a scrolling screenshot is at least there, kind of. Another weird aspect of that, though, is that you're going to get two screenshots. The first one is of both apps, and then the second one is of the scrolled screenshot. So it's a little weird. Let's talk about those quick settings again, because there are some new ones in here. If we scroll down a couple times and we hit our edit button, there are some new ones worth mentioning. So the first one is called extra dim. And what it does is pretty simple. You can, at any point, hit this button and your screen's going to get a bit dimmer. In fact, if you're all the way down and hit it, it's going to get even dimmer than that. So what is this useful for? Well, overnight I was in bed sleeping and I was trying to keep an eye on my dog here who just had a fairly major surgical intervention done. And so I'm watching him and I'm on my phone, but I don't want to keep my wife awake. So I've got this screen dialed way down, extra dim turned on. She never knew. She never woke up. So that is where that is going to be useful. Just be able to take that brightness down a little bit further. If you go down, I think you actually have to drag it in from the ones. It's not there by default. You have to actually drag it on. You can also drag on mic access and camera access. What does that do? Well, that allows you to actually just straight up turn off your camera and your microphone and your, I think location's been there, but mic and camera. You can turn them off at any point so that no app can access them while that is toggled. And kind of in the same realm as that, security, if we go into our settings and we go down to privacy, there is a new thing called the privacy dashboard, which is actually going to tell you what's going on with things that involve your privacy. Location, used by 10 apps. You can see here, past 24 hours, this is what's asked for these things. So let's look at location. What's been grabbing my location? Pokemon Go, Kroger's, Pokemon Go did it again. Of course, Pokemon Go is doing it a lot because, well, it's doing the background sync of activities. So you can see it's doing it a bunch. Camera, well, it's going to be GPS tagging. But you can look in here and you can see what's been grabbing my location. What app has been grabbing my camera? Well, there you go. Those are the apps that were grabbing my camera and when it happened. Microphone, same thing. You can see exactly what's been using your stuff and it allows you to just feel more safe and more comfortable. This next one is one I can't literally show you because I do not have a Surface Slim Pen 2, but what they've added here is this really nifty pin menu. You can hit the button on your pen and it will pull up this little customized menu, which will show you the battery, some settings, and in addition to apps that you have set to be on there yourself. You can put whatever app you want on there or different actions like screenshot, create a page. So that's really, really cool. If you're a user of the Surface Slim Pen 2, that's got to be a really, really nice addition. Along with Android 12L, there are a bunch of developer APIs, things that are meant to make apps work better on large screens, not necessarily on dual screen devices, but definitely on large screens. Duo kind of is applied there. One problem we had before is with an app like Gmail. It'll open it up on the other screen, and this works really well. Of course, Outlook does this already and probably does it better, but now Gmail does this as well. The problem is that before, if you clicked on reply, it just didn't work apparently. I guess it would open up a blank thing and there's nothing in it, and it was just strange. Like you wouldn't have any of this stuff in here, like it just blanked everything out. It kind of freaked it out. Well, that appears to be fixed. There's actually another cool thing about this, which is that it's actually treating these two things as independent instances. You can see they're no longer span. They're actually two independent things going on. And they've actually expanded this functionality to Google Chrome. Let's span Chrome. And if we click up here in the top right, granted right now the hinge is right down the middle, so this is not great. But if you click over here, you can hit new window. And now you have two Chrome instances open. Apparently, this was not a thing before. This is an instance where you needed some of the APIs in 12L for this stuff to function. As far as I know, I don't think any of this stuff was working. I know the Gmail wasn't working before. I don't think Chrome functioned like that either. Presumably, there are going to be more things like this. This next one is actually related to photography. So this is a picture of my Z Fold 4 taken in a low light area on my Surface Duo 2 pre-Android 12L, okay? It looks absolutely terrible. And this was with the low light mode actually activating. This is that same shot taken with a Gcam port. You can see that that is a massive, massive improvement. However, after that update installed, I went back and I did this again with the Duo on its stock camera, and this is what I got. Is it as good as the Gcam? No, it is not. But is it miles and miles better than this? You better believe it is. Let's do a quick comparison to the Pixel 7 Pro in low light. Again, here is Duo 2. Does pretty good, right? Look at the Pixel 7 Pro. It's better, but it's not a ton better. Now, in all fairness, when it gets darker, the gap is going to get a lot bigger. So this is the Duo 2. This is like really dark, okay? Like there's no way I could have read this with my eye. So it did do something, okay? This was very dark. Can't really keep up with the Pixel 7 Pro in extreme darkness. This was the Gcam port. Way, way, way less noise, but it did do less brightening. Maybe this is your preference. I would probably take this picture over this one. You can see more detail, but there's a lot more noise and it's artificially brightened. This is better. The Pixel 7 Pro, though, really kind of finds a middle ground where everything is bright and visible, but it's also very clear. So at the end of the day, I would say that the ability to use that low light camera, basically now, unless it's really dark, you're good to just use your stock camera. So low light has continued to improve. It was absolutely dreadful before. It was laggy to use and it was just terrible. Now it's like kind of okay. For this last new feature that I'm aware of, like I said, I'm sure that there's more that I'm going to miss. How long does this video need to be? I'm just going to show you something that I tweeted because I don't think I could say it any better than I did there. So in the past on Surface Duo, if you got a notification and you caught it when it was first popped up, you could long press it and drag it to one screen or the other to launch the app. But unfortunately, if the notification had already come in and was sitting in your notifications like this tweet is, which will tell you about what we're about to be doing, you could not perform this action. Now though, you can. If you long press it, you can drag it wherever you want it and then launch that app on whatever screen you want it to be on. Really, really good stuff. The last one I want to mention, I still have not been able to properly confirm. I've seen a video, unless this person just lying and faking this to mess with me, this seems to be true. I think this might be tied to having an enterprise account or a 365 subscription, something like that. But in the video that I was showing, which I can't show you, plug in your Surface Duo 2 and it launched on a monitor. So you plug it into a monitor, it launched on the monitor, the remote desktop app that Microsoft uses, and they were able to actually then remote desktop into a computer. The cool thing was that their Duo remained exactly the same. So they could use their phone and that remote desktop setup. So you could effectively plug in your Duo. It's like Continuum, but basically a cloud-based Continuum. Now, the Windows Central guys had actually hinted about that. So maybe that's a thing that's working. I've seen a video, but like I said, I can't get anyone else to confirm this for me. I can't get it to work, and no one else has been able to get either. So maybe that's there, maybe it's not. Before we go any further, though, I do want to point out one more thing that you may be worried about. You may be thinking, Shane, all these blurred effects, all these new animations, how is that affecting the performance of the device? I actually had somebody commenting saying, yeah, it's probably killing your frame rate. You know, it's a 90 hertz screen. How's it going to seem? Well, we can actually talk about this. Let's go and open up an app called Display FPS, and we're going to go ahead and turn it on. And you're going to notice that up in my status bar, there is now a little icon that says 90 FPS. Now let's open up Twitter. You saw it drop to 87, and let's just scroll. Do you see a problem? I don't see a problem. Let's go home. Do you see a problem? I don't see a problem. Performance is fine. It is holding up as well as you could ever hope it's going to. Okay, so we've talked about all the new stuff that's been added. Again, there's probably things that I have missed. Now let's talk about some of the things that are missing that I wish were there. One of my favorite features on my Pixel 7 Pro and on some newer phones is the ability to hold your power button to trigger Google Assistant. I really like that feature, and it is simply not present. What is really strange about this is that it is almost present. If you go into your settings and you search for press, you will see press and hold duration. There it is. It's in there, but you can't change any of this. You can't do anything with it. And you can see here that it's actually saying that it's under gestures. But if we go into system and then gestures, it is in fact not there. So it's kind of just been disabled, and I don't know why they would do this. Maybe it's because Google Assistant doesn't play well with Duo. Like if I trigger it with this gesture, you'll see there that it just failed. There, it's popping up in the middle. The hinge is literally cutting through the middle. So maybe they just disabled it because of that. I don't know. That's kind of annoying. Another one is called Quick Tap. There's a setting that you can go in and you can make it so that when you tap the back of the device, you can have it do different things. Turn on your flashlight, pull down your notification shade. That would be a cool thing to have as well. Here's a cool one. In your task switcher on newer versions of Android, you can see suggestions. Take a screenshot, copy a link. Those things are missing as well. That would be very, very cool to have. What about the vaunted taskbar at the bottom of the screen where you can grab an application and drag it wherever you want it and split screen it automatically? That is something that is missing, although I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I don't really think it makes sense on Surface Duo, if I'm being totally honest with you. Let's look at Duo again and let's think about this for a second. On your Z Fold, when you launch an app, you're full screen in that app, right? So you are looking at an application full screen. If I want to then launch a second application, the simplest thing for me to do is to grab my taskbar and then drag a second app on. And that does simplify that process a lot. Let's think about this on Duo. If I've got an app open up and I want to open up a second app, why do I need a taskbar? I have my launcher. I can go into my app drawer. I can go between my screens on my launcher, and I can just launch the second app. I can't do 3 apps. It won't let me, so I can only ever do 2 apps. So why do I need a taskbar? I already have another screen. So in my mind, the taskbar doesn't make a ton of sense, and that's probably why they didn't use it. What about the game dash bar? That would have been a cool thing to have. Gaming on Duo is actually quite good. The game dash bar brings some good functionality. Would have been cool to see. Conversations widgets. That's a cool widget that is for some reason missing. You're normally able to actually see like a snapshot of a conversation. The person, like the last message in a widget, for some reason that is not available either. And apparently it was available in Android 12.0 from what I'm reading. So there you go, guys. That's my pretty comprehensive list of all the big changes in Android 12L for Surface Duo. These should all apply to Surface Duo 1 other than the scrolling screenshot thing. If I missed any big ones, let me know in the comments down below what I missed. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, man.